Everyone. So in this video we are going to learn about XSS, that is cross-site scripting. So in this video series we will be seeing what is XSS, why XSS happens, what is the severity of XSS, what are the types of XSS and different ways to do XSS vulnerability, and you will be able to hunt this vulnerability on all the live websites. So what are the types of XSS? There are three types of XSS: reflected, wherein the input gets reflected onto the web application. For example, if you give an input, that is your name, into a search bar of any website, let's say you give Rohit, and Rohit is again reflected onto the website. For example, no results found for the query Rohit. Then this is a reflected type. You can try to search a reflected XSS there. Next is stored XSS. If the input gets stored into the server, then this type of vulnerability is known as stored XSS. In DOM XSS, if the input passes through the DOM, which is basically through the source and comes out of the sink. How a XSS works. So here is an example through which you will understand how a basic XSS works. As you can see, there is a client on the left side, on the right side it is a server, and there is an attacker. So the attacker sends a link to the client. The client will click on that link and the client or the victim will authenticate it with the server. Remember, the link contains the malicious payload. After the victim has authenticated with the server will send the cookie to the attacker. Which cookie? The authenticated cookie of the client. Now the attacker has got the cookie of the client, and now attacker can log in as the victim or the client. So basically he is able to do an account takeover. So first we are going to see XSS reflected. Check for if input gets reflected in the page source, body or URL. So you should check whenever you give any input into a web page that it is getting reflected in the page source, in the body or in the URL. Next, if the input gets reflected, we can hunt for reflected XSS. Sending a simple JavaScript to execute and prove XSS we are going to do. If there is no input validation or sanitization, then it is very dangerous and there can be a vulnerability of XSS. So yes, this is the practical time now, and let's see reflected XSS, how it can be done. So as you can see, I'm onto a web application which is testphp.vulnweb.com. On the left side you can see there is a search box in which I'm going to type Hacktify, and I will hit go. After typing Hacktify, you can see it has got reflected onto the website. As you can see here, it has got reflected, which means there is a reflection. So I can try for reflected XSS. I'm just going to try a very basic JavaScript and see that if this JavaScript gets reflected or executed. If this JavaScript gets executed, then there is a vulnerability of reflected XSS. So a simple JavaScript looks like script alert something into that alert box, let's say 2, and script close. Let me open a Sublime text editor and show you what the script looks like. So the script starts, the script ends, and in the middle you can see there is an alert which says 2. So when this script is going to get executed, there should be an alert box with the number 2. Yes, So the application is successfully executing our JavaScript, which means this application is vulnerable to reflected XSS. Now, what we are going to do is, instead of to, I'm going to type document.domain, in which I'm going to see the name of the web application. So the web application name is testphp.vulnweb. Let's see if we can get the name. Yes, so we have got the name. Now, let's try to get a cookie from this application. So for that, we are going to type document.cookie and we are going to execute this JavaScript. And I will hit enter and press go. As you can see, this has got executed, but not showing any type of cookie because we are not authenticated into the website right now. So the website has not generated any cookie for the user. I hope you guys understood what is reflected XSS. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see XSS balancing, which is a very important part of XSS. So in this video, we will learn how to balance XSS and execute our JavaScript. So let's see this in the practical time. So I'm onto a website which is orientalbirdimages.org. As you can see, there is a search parameter. So I'm just going to quickly search my name. So let's say I search for Hacktify and I click go, just to check that is this getting reflected. As you can observe in the URL, it is getting reflected into a parameter which is keyword parameter. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly give a very simple basic payload of JavaScript to check if this gets executed or not. So I will just hit go and wait. Nope, this did not get executed. Why? So let's see into the page source what happened in the background. As you can see, in the page source, I searched for Hacktify and you can see one of one match found here at the bottom. So now my payload has become a value. If you look closely here, my payload has become the value of the parameter value, right? So my payload is here. I need to take out my payload outside of this value, which is in this double quotes. As you can see, double quotes, double quotes. So I need to take out this payload outside to execute it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if you look closely, my payload starts from Hacktify, then script alert one, script tag close, and it is between this double quotes. What if I give this ending double quote here? So the application will think value double quote start, Hacktify double quote close. Also I give this closing braces bracket over here, the application will think that this is ended over here and this is not into the value of the parameter. So let's see, what do we do? I'm just going to copy the whole payload and I have seen how it gets ended or closed. So I'll just go here and end this by giving this and hit on go. As you can see, I have successfully executed the payload, which means I was able to do a successful balancing. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So here it is one more proof of concept for explaining a reflected type of XSS, a RXSS. So what happens in reflected XSS is, whenever a user gives input to the web application will take that input, interpret it, and basically reflect it. In this case, when we are going to give an input that is going to be our XSS payload, the application will take that input and instead of reflecting it, it is going to execute it. If any application is executing the arbitrary supplied payload or input, then the application is vulnerable to XSS in case of JavaScript execution. So let's see this. As you can see, there is a search field. I'm going to type Hacktify into the search field right now. Along with this, I'm going to give the simple basic payload that we know, that is script alert1 script tag close, and I'm going to hit enter. As you can see, the application executed our payload, which means this application is vulnerable to a reflected XSS attack. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how to do manual XSS payload building. So this is very important because we know we find XSS everywhere in most of the website. So in this video, we will learn how we can do manual XSS payload building. So let's see this. I'm onto this website, which is orientalbirdimages.com. So I'm just going to search for Hacktify in the input, that is search. And after, I can see it is getting reflected, where it is getting reflected into the URL bar, as you can see over here. Perfect. So I will just go to the page source by clicking on view page source. As you can see, this is the page source. I'm going to copy this and go to editor. Now I'm going to paste the page source into this notepad editor. So after just pasting it over here, I'm going to search for the input that I gave, and I gave Hacktify, and you can see there is one match. Perfect. So as you can see over here, Hacktify is the input which is coming in the parameter that is value. So the parameter is value, and the input that has been given, which is the value, is over here between the double quotes. If you can see, double quotes here and double quotes here, and the value is, which means the input is into this double quotes. Perfect. So by this we can conclude that whatever we give as an input into this website comes into this types of double quotes. So if we give the payload, XSS payload, it will also come between this double quotes. Perfect. As you can see over here, there is also a closing bracket, which indicates this is the closing bracket for this opening bracket, which is input type. Yes, so let's see furthermore. Our input comes between these double quotes. We have already seen that. And now let's say if I give a XSS payload onto that search field, it is going to come like this into the input, somewhat like this. Yes. A simple XSS payload that is script alert1 and script tag close. Now as you can see, my payload has become the value, and if my payload becomes a value, I cannot do XSS. So let me just try to hit it over here and hit go. As you can see, nothing happened, no execution, therefore no XSS. Which means I need to balance this. I need to balance the input which is going over here. My input is becoming value between these double quotes. So what if I try to make this value come out of those double quotes? How? So the application logic is any input should come between double quotes. What if I give a double quote into my payload itself? The application will get tricked, and the application will think, let's say if I give a double quotes over here after Hacktify, the application will think that the value is completed over here, the input is completed over here, and it will treat this as outside of the value, and it will try to execute it. Perfect. So I'm just going to copy this double quotes and closing bracket, and I'm going to tell that the input gets closed over here, and basically the value gets closed over here, whatever the attacker is going to give. In our case, we are going to give Hacktify and XSS payload. So a double quote here, and then I'm going to close this by this closing bracket of this input type. So I'll just do that quickly, and double quotes and closing bracket. Perfect. So now my payload is this. What is my payload? My payload is Hacktify, double quotes, closing bracket, and then script alert1 script tag close. Let me just save this source code into a file which is balance1.html, and let's try to open this balance1.html into a web browser. If we get a XSS execution, then we have successfully balanced our payload. So let's try to see this. Perfect. We got one. Let's try to reload this, and we are getting an XSS execution, which means we have successfully balanced our payload. Perfect. So let's take this payload from here now. Our payload starts from Hacktify till script tag close till here. Let's copy this, go into the website and paste it over here, put it and hit go. Perfect. We have successfully balanced our payload. Let's go to one more website. This is bewakoof.com. Let's try to search for Hacktify over here and hit enter. Now you can see I'm getting a reflection of Hacktify. Now I will right click and do view page source because I want to see the source code. I'll just copy this, go into my favorite editor again and paste it over here. Now I'm going to search for the input, that is Hacktify. As you can see, there are total 17 matches, which means it is getting reflected at 17 positions, 17 different positions into the page source. So I'm going to take one of the source that I want. So let's see which source do we take. Not this one. Let's try to take a source which is, let's say, param equals to value type. So yeah, let's take this one. Over here you can see Hacktify is getting reflected. Now what if I, instead of Hacktify, I give the XSS payload with Hacktify? So it is going to look somewhat like this into the page source. Hacktify script alert 1 script tag close, a basic XSS payload. As you can see over here, it would look somewhat like this if I have given the input. Now, as you can see, it has not got balanced because it has become a value. So I do not want my payload to become value. So I'm going to take this out of the value tag. How do I take it out? I have seen that this meta property tag gets closed like this. So I'm going to close it here only into my input payload. So my payload is now Hacktify double quote slash closing brace and then the XSS payload. Perfect. Let's try to save this. Go to the browser and let's try to reload this and see if we are able to get XSS execution or not. If we get it, then we have successfully balanced our XSS payload and it works perfectly fine. So yes, when I reload this, I have got the XSS execution, which means we have successfully balanced our attack vector. Perfect. Let's go to the third website in which we are going to see again XSS balancing. So in this, I search for Hacktify. I'll go to the page source. I'm getting there for the reflection. I'm going to just copy this, go into my notepad editor. I'm going to paste it here and search for Hacktify. As you can see, this is the input which I searched for is getting reflected at only one position. Perfect. So here, if I've given the input as an XSS payload with Hacktify, it would have looked somewhat like this. Script alert 1 script tag close, and I wrote an extra script tag. Let me just delete this one. Yep, so now it's perfect. Hacktify script alert 1 script tag close. This is what the input will be given. Now it is not balanced, guys. So for balancing, let me see how can I try to balance this. So let me go here and you can see that this is going to be get ended somewhere here a script tag is getting closed. So maybe a new script tag will start, and let me try to end the script tag over here only. So let's say if I end a script tag like this and script tag close, and then execute the script, the XSS payloads. Let's try to go here and reload this. Perfect. We are getting an XSS execution over here. So yes, we are able to execute this, and we are able to successfully build an manual XSS attack vector. So I hope you guys understood that whenever onto any application, if you're not able to get an XSS, maybe you are missing the most important thing, that is balancing it. So this was one of the manual approach of balancing an XSS by looking at the page source. I hope this helps, and thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see one more case for XSS, and we will also see the balancing of the XSS. So as you can see, there is a search parameter. I'm going to search into this parameter, Hacktify, and I will hit enter. And you can see the parameter is getting reflected, right? So I'm going to test for reflected XSS. So I will just give Hacktify and the simple payload here. As you can see, script alert1 script tag close, and hit enter. As you can see, our JavaScript payload did not execute. Something stopped the payload from executing. So let's see what stopped this from executing by opening the page source, and let's search for Hacktify to see where does it get reflected. As you can see, it is getting reflected over here. So there are total 66 matches where it is getting reflected. Checking all of them, we realize that we need to balance our payload. There are total 66 reflection where Hacktify gets reflected, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to balance my payload. Yes, as you can see here, if you can look closely, here you can see this gets ended by this. This whole placeholder gets ended by this. So what I'm going to do is in the value parameter where my payload is getting input reflected, I'm going to end this payload itself, okay, and make this payload come out of the value. So I'm going to end this by adding this at the start. So let me just go back to the website, and this time let me use a new payload and also try to balance it. So I'm using image source payload. Image source equals to X. Is there any source like that? No. This is an invalid source. So the application will throw an error on, and we have given on error confirm 1. Okay. It did not get reflected. It got reflected, but it did not got executed. So what we are going to do is, as we saw into the page source, we are going to balance it like this, and we are going to hit enter. Yes, and you can see we got an alert, which means we were successfully able to execute the JS and successfully able to exploit the XSS vulnerability. I hope you understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see XSS in limited inputs. We will see how to do XSS if the script tags are blocked into any web application. So practical time, and let's see how can we bypass any website which is blocking a script tag. As you can see, I'm onto this website which is bata.in. So I will just go into the search bar and I will hit Hacktify and enter just to check that is there any reflection. And you can see there is a reflection happening. So I'm going to try a reflected XSS over here. Now I'm going to take a very basic payload, that is script alert1 script tag close. I'll just copy this, go into the application, type Hacktify and enter the payload and hit enter. As you can see, our payload did not get executed. Let's see what happened. Go into the page source and search for Hacktify. As you can see, there is only Hacktify and 1. Where did our script start, script end and alert go? So we came to a conclusion that the developer has used stripping of the script tags. So whenever any user gives an input of script tags, the application will strip those script tags and also will strip the alert function. Okay, so now we are going to not use script alert because it gets stripped out. This is what the developer's logic is. Let's go back, and now we are going to use a new payload, that is image source equals to X. Is there any image source like this? No, there is no source like X. Therefore, it is going to give an error when it will try to load an image from a source that is X. When it will give an error, we have written a function which says on error equals to confirm 1. Why have we written confirm? Because we saw already the application blocks the alert function. So that's why we have used confirm. Do remember guys, instead of alert, we can use confirm as well as we can use prompt. So let's just take this payload, go back to the website, give this payload and hit enter. And let's observe. Yes, successfully we have executed our JavaScript XSS payload into the website. I hope you guys understood this video, that how we can bypass if any application is putting any stripping mechanism for any tags. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are again going to see XSS in limited inputs, wherein the web application, that is carid.com, is going to strip some part of our XSS payload and will try to block us from performing a XSS attack on the website. But we will try to form a payload through which we are going to make a successful XSS attack on this website. So let's get started and let's see this. Into the search option, I'm going to type Hacktify. As you can see, it is getting reflected onto the web application, which means here can be a possibility of reflected XSS. So I'm going to hunt a reflected XSS here. I will just go there and give a simple payload that we know, that is script alert1 script tag close. If you look closely into what is getting deflected here is only Hacktify and alert, which means this website's developer has put a logic to strip any input which contains script tag open and script tag close. Therefore, this payload is not working onto the application and we are not able to generate a XSS attack. So now we are going to bypass this by using another payload which does not contain a script tag. So we are going to use image source equals to X, which is not a write source, which is a malfunctioned source. There is no source like that. So the application, when try to load an image from this source, will give an error. And we have told the application that on error function give an alert, that is 1. I will just try to write this and hit enter, and let's see what happens. After hitting enter, as you can observe onto the screen, there is going to be an alert. As you have seen here, the application tried to load an image. If you look closely here, and the application was not able to load the image from our source, that was X, and the image was not able to get loaded, and the application gave an error, that is 1, as you can see over here. I hope you guys understood. Thank you for watching this. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how can we do XSS in request headers. So we can do XSS by giving the arbitrary JavaScript payload into the request headers. And if the application interpreted and executes it, then the application is vulnerable to cross-site scripting attack. You can choose any request header. For example, we are going to choose a header that is referrer. No sanitization or decisions, and taking decisions is very dangerous for the application. As you can see, there is a header on this website when we performed a curl request. The header is X thanks for this awesome bug bounty course. You can also try a XSS payload there. So practical time, and let's see this in action. Yes. So as you can see, I went to a website which is media.net. I will just quickly capture this request into my burp suite. As you can see, I have captured the request in burp suite. I will send this request to repeater. After sending this into the repeater tab, I'm going to hit go and I'm going to check the response. As you can see in the request, I'm going to change the request method from get to post. And now I'm going to add a new header, that is referrer header. And in the referrer header, I'm going to type https google.com, and I just want to check that this Google gets reflected into the response or not, with a question mark. Yes. So this header is getting reflected into the response. So let me give a parameter equals to value like Q parameter and the value Hacktify, and let's verify, does this get reflected? Perfect. This is getting reflected into the response also. As you can notice, this is a hidden response. Now I can see that this gets ended by double quote / closing bracket. So I'm going to balance my payload like this, and I'm going to put a payload. So a double quote / and I'm going to give my payload as script alert 1 script tag close. I will just hit go and check if this is getting reflected or not. As you can see, we have successfully balanced this, and this is getting reflected into the response. Let me just right click, show response in browser, and let me go to the browser. Before putting this, let me open up a new tab, yes, and paste it, and you can see I'm able to get a XSS through the request headers. I hope you guys understood how I was able to do a XSS by using a header which was referrer. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how can we perform XSS in the user agent and also save our payload into the caching server, attacking many people at one time. So basically, we are going to perform a XSS attack in the user agent and will make the caching server save it into the cache. So anyone who visits that particular URL will automatically get attacked by our attack vector until the cache is flushed. So we will attack the website using XSS and user agent in the web application. We will also save our payload into the caching server in the form of miss and hit. We are going to understand this in the practical. Whenever anyone visits the URL which is cached by the server, in this case, there is a Sucuri based caching server, and it will lead to XSS. XSS will remain into the caching server until the cache is flushed. So practical time, and let's see the practical that how can we perform this attack into the user agent and poison the cache. So yes, let me open up my terminal quickly, and on the terminal I'm going to type the command that is curl. Okay, after typing curl, I'm going to give the target. My target is brutalogic.com.br/lab/header.php. Okay, I will just give question mark Rohit. Yes, after giving this question mark Rohit, I'm going to hit enter. So basically I'm going to see the response. As you can see, this is the response that I'm getting. I will just do -i just to see the headers, not the response. So I want to see what are the headers coming. So you can see the headers are server nginx, date, content type, xsucuri id because there is a sucuri WAF and caching server, xsucuri cache miss. So basically this request is not saved into the caching server. That's why it is saying cache missed. If this request would be coming from the cache, then it would say cache hit. So now miss means this is not saved into the caching server, but now it will get saved automatically. So let me again make the request. And this time, let's observe what happens. Perfect. So this time, this request is coming from the cached server, from the Sucuri server. Awesome. So let's move further and let's try to poison the cache by giving arbitrary header. So let's say we give a header which is called as XSS, and let me type a simple basic payload here. Let's say svg onload alert 0. Okay, so let me try to hit enter and let's see what happens. So it is saying hit. Okay, so this payload is not saved. Again it is giving hit. Let me try one more time. Again it is giving hit. Let me try one more time. Yes, so again it is giving hit, which means I am getting the response from the caching server only till now, and this user agent is not being saved into the application. Let's verify by going onto the browser. As you can see, nothing is coming onto my browser. No XSS prompt or alert. So what I'm going to do is I am going to save a new endpoint into the caching server this time. So let's say instead of Rohit, I give Rohit 1 and hit enter. So let me just hit enter, and now you can observe, perfect, the cache has missed this time, which means that this request is being saved into the caching server this time, because we are not getting a hit, we are getting a miss. The cache has missed and this request will be now saved by the caching server. Let's verify. Let's give the same request again, and this time we should get a cache hit. So let's check if we get a cache hit. We got a miss. Let's try one more time. Perfect. Yes, so we are able to make this payload save into the caching server. Yes, let's verify by sending a request to the endpoint. Let's verify. So I am sending a request to the endpoint and let's verify. We have got the output and perfect. In the body, can you see our arbitrary XSS header has been added into that endpoint because this response is coming from the caching server. Let's go onto the website and let's test this. Let me just do Rohit1, hit enter, and now you guys observe what happens. Okay, so perfect, we have got an alert onto the screen, which means we have successfully demonstrated a XSS. And if I will send this request to anyone, then he will get a XSS onto his computer. So basically we were able to exploit XSS in the user agent. Also, we were able to store our payload into the caching server. Now this is stored into the caching server until the cache automatically flushes itself and makes new cache. I hope you guys understood in this video how we exploited it. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see XSS in email login fields with limited input. So here we are going to attack the website using the XSS into the login field. To be specific, into the email field in any web application. So according to RFC 822 email address validator, we will make our own payload and we will try to attack into the email field of any login page. If we are able to do so and if we achieve XSS, then it is a win-win condition for us. So it's the practical time and let's quickly see the practical for this attack. So for doing the attack, first let's go to the email address validator and let me try to submit an email address here. So let's say if I type Rohit, or let's say I type hacker.udemy@gmail.com and if I type gmail.com and click on check, you can see this is our email address validator and it is saying this is a valid email. And if I type hacker, or let's say like this, script alert 1 script tag close, alert 1 script tag close, and click and check. So it is going to say it is invalid. This is not a valid payload. What if I give another payload, that is image source equals to x on error equals to confirm, let's say 1, and this time I give here @gmail.com. Let's see what happens. Yep, it is again detecting that this is a invalid email. So for this, I'm going to give a payload here which will bypass this. So let's see this. In this payload, you can see I'm giving this payload and I'm going to hit on check. So let's check this. Perfect. So according to the RFC 822 email address validator, this is a valid email address, which is a payload till here, and this is the domain, that is @gmail.com lookalike. Perfect. So now we are going to see and we are going to check this payload and we are going to see if we are able to exploit any website using this payload. So for the attack perspective, we are going to go into this website. Perfect. As you can see, there is a field of username and password. So in the username field, I'm going to give my payload, and in the password field, let's say I type anything randomly. So let me just type admin123 and I'm going to hit submit. Before submitting this request, I want you guys to understand that if we give anything else into the username field, it is going to give an input validation error. So if you try to put a simple script alert one payload into the input field, it is going to validate that, and it is going to say that this is not a right email address because there is a validation which is put into place by the developer according to RFC 822 email validator. But as we saw that this payload is able to bypass that email validation, and now we are going to try with this payload and check that if this payload is working onto this website or not. You can also check this payload on different websites which contain email ID and password. So let's try to submit this now and verify. So let's just submit this and see what happens. So I've clicked on submit and perfect. Yes. So can you see the application has executed our payload, which means the email address field that was there was vulnerable to this attack, and we have successfully made a cross-site scripting attack into the email field with limited inputs. I hope everyone understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how can we do XSS protection bypass by doing a base64 encoding and decoding of our payload. So herein we are going to see an application which is protected by XSS attacks. And if we try to do an XSS attack, the application will just block us. But we are going to bypass that by using base64 encoding, and we will successfully execute our XSS attack. We will bypass an XSS where there is improper input sanitization or proper HTML encoding. The application has proper checks for other XSS payloads and blocks it. But there is improper encoding or escaping, and taking decisions based on this is very, very dangerous. So it is practical time, and let's see how can we do this type of XSS attacks. Yes. So you can see my target is droom.in. So what I'm going to do is I searched for Hacktify. As you can see, parameter q equals to Hacktify. I'm just going to put a simple payload there quickly just to show you guys that there is a WAF which is blocking me right now. As you can see, access denied. So I cannot do a XSS on this search parameter, that is q. So what I'm going to do right now is I have logged in into the application. After logging in into the application, I will just go choose any car and go onto the car's dashboard. So let me just wait. Try to intercept this request. Yes. So I've intercepted this request, and you can see the request contains something called as get dashboard because I've logged in into the dashboard, and source equals to a very long string. I'm just going to take this long string, send it to the decoder. So I've sent it to the decoder, and you can see after decoding it, clicking on base64. Oops, let me just try to decode it again. Wait, nope. So let me just click back on, yeah. So as you can see, this string contains, yeah, let me just decode it. Yes, so this long string contains base64 encoded values. As you can see, the base64 encoded values are these: make equals to Tata, model equals to Nano, Gen X, year equals to 2015, trim XT, location this, and in the location parameter, I'm going to give my payload. As you can see, I've given the payload as Chandigarh, and balance the script alert 1, script tag close. So I'm going to give this payload. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove this and add it here. So let's just verify the application blocks us or not. The application is not blocking us. Let's go back to the dashboard and let's try to verify if we are able to do XSS. So let's wait for it to load, and if we get an alert, then the website is vulnerable to XSS. Okay, so let's go back to the repeater tab and let's see what mistake we did. So let me just try to copy this payload again, go into the repeater tab and replace this. So if I try to put a base64 encoded payload, it is not happening. So I did base64 to URL encode. Okay, so after doing it URL encoding, now it may tend to work. Let me just hit on go, and you can see it was 200 okay into the response. I did not got blocked. Let me just paste it into the browser and perfect. Can you see? Yes, we are able to bypass the protection by doing a base64 encoding and then URL encoding of our payload, and we were able to bypass the block that was happening onto this website. So this was a very interesting scenario of how we can achieve XSS in base by doing base64 encoding and URL encoding. I hope you guys understood. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see a XSS protection bypass on a bank website. So we will bypass an XSS where there is an improper input, sanitization, or HTML encoding with limited inputs. So in this example, we are going to see how we were able to perform an XSS attack onto a bank website. And the payload is going to be very, very tiny because of limited inputs into the website. So it is practical time, and let's see how we can achieve this XSS. Yes, so let's quickly see this. So the website is icicibankcareers.com. Now I will just go into the search and apply feature, wherein I'm going to apply for a career into this website. As you can see, there is an option of keyword, job keyword search. So I'm going to type Hacktify there and I'm going to search. As soon as I click on search, you can see there is a reflection into the URL. Perfect. So we have found a reflection. Now let me just go into the burp suite. Let me just go into the burp suite and take this request into the burp. As you can see, it is coming empty because we did not give anything. So let me just send this to repeater. Let me just type again and let me take this. Yep, so you can see Hacktify is something which is getting reflected. So instead of empty, I'm going to type Hacktify. Perfect. Now I will hit go and I will see the reflection into the response. So I'm getting a reflection of 2 matches. Perfect. So this is the first and this is the second one. Fine. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing that comes to my mind is putting a payload. Okay, so I have already balanced this payload from seeing from here, and I'm putting the payload of script alert 1 script tag close, and I will hit go. And when I will do this, you can see the application is not allowing me to do this. It is giving bad request. No problem. I'm going to use another payload, that is image source equals to x. On error, confirm 1, which in this payload we have given an arbitrary image source, that is X, and no such source exists. So the application is going to give an error, and we have said on error confirm with 1, and let's hit go. No, the application is still giving an error, which means how can we achieve a XSS now? Because basically we tried to put anything, the application blocks us. I tried here base64 encoding also, the application blocks me. So I tried everything, the application was blocking me. So as you can see, now I just put the double quotes and the closing bracket just to check the application is validating this, and I'm not able to perform any type of XSS payload. I'm not able to form XSS payload in here. As you can see, it is giving me bad request for anything that I'm giving. So what if I try to give single quote? And let's verify if this payload works or not. So I will just hit go. And you can see, perfect. I got a 200 OK in my response, and it did not block me. So let's see the reflections. First reflection here, second reflection here. So let's just quickly do this, show response in browser, and paste it here, and let's see this. And perfect. Yes, you can see we were able to do XSS onto this website successfully. So this was a XSS in which we were able to bypass the protection that the developer has kept, as by mitigating all the double quotes, script tags, base64 encoding, anything. Right, and also there was a limited input and a very small payload that we used into this attack. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to learn how can we find XSS by using Spider. So if we do not get any parameter directly from the application, sometimes what will happen is you will not be able to see any parameters directly. Many parameters will not be visible to you. So in that case, what you can do is you can find a lot of parameters using burp suite. How to find parameters? I'm just going to show using burp suite. So we will find an injection point from those parameters using the Spider feature. And then after finding the injection point, we are going to inject the XSS payload in the param, and boom, we will be able to exploit the XSS. So let's see the proof of concept, as this is the practical time. Let's see. So for doing this attack, we have chosen this website. This is optimizely.com. So this is a website which was active on bug crowd. So we have targeted this website. So let's see this in action. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see onto the screen, there is no input field I can see anywhere. So where to put my XSS payload? I cannot see any input field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a burp spider, and I'm going to crawl this website and get parameters or injection point. So I'm going to reload this website, and this request will come into my burp. I will just click on send to Spider. It will ask me to add in scope. So I want to add this into scope. Also, I want to log everything for the proxy history. So I will hit yes. Also, I will send this to repeater. So in case I want to use this request again. As you can see, I will go to the target sitemap window, and now my target's name is www.optimizely.com. So I'm going to check whether it's www.optimizely.com, right? And I'm going to add this to scope. As this is already added to scope, I will just click on the filter and click on show only in scope items. So I just want to see what are the items which are in scope. So this is my only one website which I'm going to work on right now, and all other websites which I'm going to surf in the background will not be able to see onto my sitemap window. Okay, so we do this basically not to get confused by putting a lot of things into the scope. As now I'm just want to work onto this target, so I just want to view all the request and response of this target only. Yes, so now you can see there are a lot of requests that are coming. I will just double click on the params. Params means parameters. So you can see all the URL that contains the parameters will come here. Okay, so the burp spider is happening and the spider is crawling the web application and it is trying to find out more and more parameters. In just some minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, it will able to crawl everything and it will find a lot of parameters. So I already done this crawling because I do not want to exceed the timing of this video. So I will just tell you that what parameter I found out using burp crawl. So the parameter was q equals to. So I found out this parameter and I'm just going to type Hacktify in q parameter just to check that does it get reflected or not. So let me just quickly go into the page source and verify is even Hacktify getting reflected. Yes, I got 2 reflections. Perfect. So now I'm going to give my payload, that is script alert1 and script tag close. So let's see if we get an XSS, and we are waiting for the XSS prompt, but no, we did not get. Why? Let's check. So as you can see, it has got URL encoded here, and here we can see perfectly fine the payload is here. Awesome. But guys, as you can see, our payload has become a value. Our payload has become a value, but we do not want our payload to become value. We want it to come outside of the value. So now what we are going to do is we are going to balance our payload. So let's see where does this end, where it is reflecting. So it is reflecting somewhere into the script, and it is going to end it, and this script is basically going to end by script close. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to close this beforehand only by giving script tag close and hit enter. And let's just wait for the application, and perfect. Yes, so I'm able to get a XSS onto the web application by using burp spider. So I hope you guys understood that how I'm able to achieve this. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see a XSS protection bypass by a poorly validated website. So we will bypass an XSS where there is an improper input sanitization or HTML encoding, and the developer is very smart. He made right clicks off. So cheers to the developer, but no proper encoding or escaping and taking decisions is very, very dangerous. Also, never underestimate the power of view-source or burp. So let's see this in action, and let's see the proof of concept for this attack. So it is the practical time, and let's go to the practical. So in here, I'm going to search for the website, which is seawatersports.com. After going onto this website, I'll just navigate quickly onto this Goa and scuba diving field. After going onto this website, I can see that there is a book now feature. I will just click on that book now feature, and now you can see the total amount for the trip to Goa. So basically the activity is scuba diving at island is for 2250 rupees, 2250 rupees. As you can see, there are so many details need to be filled. I'm not going to fill all those details. If you look closely into the URL, you will be able to find an interesting parameter equals to value is passing. Are you guys able to spot it? Yes. So it is activity type equals to parameter, which contains a value, and the value is scuba diving. And I can see this value is reflecting somewhere here, scuba diving. So let's see this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this scuba diving at island, and I'm going to replace this with Hacktify just to check that if I give a new input, is this new input going to reflect in this place? So let's verify by just hitting enter, and perfect. Yes. So whatever the input I am giving is being reflected onto the website. Yes, so we are doing it right. What if now I try to give a XSS input, a XSS payload? So let me just quickly give script alert 1 and script tag close, a very simple payload, and let me just hit enter. So let's see if we give a XSS payload into this input. As we already saw, whatever we give is getting reflected. If this gets executed instead of getting reflected, then we can finally conclude that we have found a valid XSS bug onto this website. So let's continue. Yes, perfect. As you can see, I am able to see the XSS onto my screen, which confirms that this validated website, in which I was not able to double click anywhere to see the page source, but still the website was vulnerable to XSS attack, because I spotted that there was a parameter passing, and the parameter was activity type equals to, which was reflecting anything that I gave into the input. As I gave Hacktify and then I gave my payload, and it just executed my malicious payload. So I hope you guys understood this. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see exploitation of blind XSS. So before going to blind XSS, let's see what actually is blind XSS. So whenever you come across any feedback form or a chatbot, or wherever any form in which you submit the request but you do not know what has happened in the background, when you put your XSS payload into the submit request and the request has been sent successfully, what has happened at the server end? What has happened? Has the XSS been exploited, executed? You don't know. So in this case, you are missing very critical bugs. So we are going to learn in this video series how can we do exploitation of blind XSS and identify those types of XSS. So yes, we learned through any form that you submit, you can test for blind XSS vulnerability. So we will submit a feedback form or a chatbot request, but we will not know if there exists a vulnerability of XSS. So we are going to give a payload which will make a request to the server when the payload is executed. So a very good tool that we are going to use for this demonstration is XSS Hunter. So yes, this is the practical time now. So let's see how we are going to do the practical. So before starting with the practical, I want to say to you guys that you can go on this website, that is https://xsshunter.com, After going onto this website, just go into the sign up tab. After going here, you can just fill these details: full name, your username, your password, the email that you want to use, and your custom domain. In custom domain, you just have to type whatever custom domain you want. So let's say I'm taking Hacktify blind XSS dot. So basically you don't have to type anything, just this name, and you will be assigned a custom domain, that is Hacktify blind xss.xss.hunter ht. You have to just click on I'm not a robot by typing whatever desired name you want and click on sign up. Once you click on sign up, you will need to verify your email address and you will then be logged in into the application. So let me just log in into the application right now and show you that I already have an account onto this website. Yes, so I already have an account onto this website. So let's see the attack now. So for doing exploitation of blind XSS, we are going to use this website, that is testphp.vulnweb.com. So as you can see, there is a your profile field. I have logged in into the application using the username test and the password test. As you can see, in the name field, I'm going to give the payload that I got from XSS Hunter. You just have to go into the payload section after you log in, and from there you can copy the script tag basic payload. You just have to click here, copy payload to clipboard, or you can manually copy from here. And this is the payload that I'm giving into the fields. So I've given it into the first name field, second credit card number field, third email field, fourth phone number, and fifth address field. And I will just hit on update button. After hitting onto the update button, now as you can see, the website is loading. Now I will just go to the first tab, that is XSS fires, to check if my XSS payload has been fired by any application. Basically it means, has it been executed or not. So we are waiting. You may also get an email onto your signed up email that you have used while making an account. Let's just wait for some more seconds and we will be able to see here. Perfect. As you can see now, here there are 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks that have been made. So this is the victim's IP and this is the vulnerable page, that was userinfo.php. Perfect. So I hope you guys understood this POC in which we were able to attack and we were able to get a hit onto our server, which means it was clicked. This can be submitted in the proof of concept if you are reporting any vulnerability onto any website. I hope you guys understood. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to learn what is XSS type stored. So basically a stored XSS into any application. So what is it? If any application stores your input but into an unsafe manner, always try where you can save the input as XSS payload, where the server saves the payload. For example, you can save the payload in edit profile, support chatbots, anywhere in the server where something is stored basically. So we are going to try this attack in which we are going to save our payload onto the server. And if anyone sees that particular payload or reaches to that profile, the payload will get executed and we will be able to achieve a stored XSS vulnerability. So let's see this into action. Practical time. So let's see the practical of this attack. So for doing this attack, I'm going to choose this website, that is woodlandworldwide.com. After going into the website, I will just try to log in into the website. It is showing a COVID-19 message. Okay, nice. So I will just go into the login option and I will try to sign in with Google. Let me just sign in using my email ID, hacker.udemy@gmail.com. Let me choose the password. Yeah, so I am currently logging into the application. So after logging in, what we are going to do is, guys, we are going to go into the edit profile option. As you can see, welcome baby. I'll just click here and go to my personal information into my profile section. As you can see, here is my personal information of my account. In the name field, I'm just going to type the open and closing brackets. Let me choose some arbitrary data and date of birth. In month, anything. In date, anything. Let me choose the address to anything. Let's say I type Mumbai. Address to again Mumbai. I will choose the country, India, state, anything. Let's say Maharashtra, city, Mumbai. Zip code 40064. Mobile number, I will give my mobile number and I will click on update. As you can see, the application gave an error and did not allow to update. As you can see, there is an input validation into the first name and the last name field, as it detected that along with the characters, some special characters are also given. So the first name and the last name field is validated using input validation, wherein it will only take alphabets and not any type of special character. So how we are going to put our payload in this case? So for this scenario, we are going to take the help of burp suite. So I will remove this opening and closing brackets. First, we are not able to put it directly through the website. So now we are going to put that using burp suite. I will just do intercept on and click on update. Now you can see this is the post request that is going to the server, which contains the detail. As you can see in the body, first name equals to baby, last name equals to hacker over here. Okay. So I will try to give the special characters here. First, let me send this to the repeater. Let me give these characters and let me just hit go. Let's verify. Let me drop all this request. I do not want this to overwrite the request. Let me just refresh because we have saved it using repeater, and yes, we can observe here that the validation was only at the client side. The validation is not at the server side. So the application is allowing to store the special characters also. So it was only the client side validation, which we have successfully bypassed. Now, our main motive is performing a stored XSS. So what I'm going to do right now is, in the first name field, I'm going to give the payload as an input. A simple payload, script alert 1, script tag close. In the last name field, also I'm going to give the payload, script alert 2 this time, and script tag close. because I want to see that which field is vulnerable, first name field or last name field. If I get a pop-up of 1, which means the first name field is vulnerable. If I get a pop-up of 2, that means the last name field is vulnerable. Let's first verify by refreshing the browser. As you can see, the payload is saved into the first name and the last name field, but unfortunately it did not execute. It did not execute, which means that we were not able to successfully perform our stored XSS. Why? Let's see what happened into the background. So let's see the response into burp suite. What we are missing actually here is very important thing, that is balancing. We did not balance our payload. As you can see, I will just search here the first name, that is baby, and you can see my payload has become the value. As you can see here, the payload has become a value. I want to take out my payload, that is script alert1 script tag close, out of this value tag, and I can see this value tag is getting closed by this tags. Okay, double quote / closing bracket. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pass the ending tags with my payload. Okay, so I will just copy that and I'm going to pass it here at this position after baby. Okay, so let me just go here and let me just hit it like this. Okay, let me do the same into the last name field to balance last name also, and I will hit go. Now let's verify, are we able to balance it and our payload has come out of the value field or not. So yes, perfectly all right. We can see that our payload has come out of the value field and it has successfully got balanced. Perfect. Now let's go onto the browser and verify that is this working or not. So let me just reload this website. Perfect. We got an alert of 1 as well as we got an alert for 2, which means the first name field and the last name field both were vulnerable to stored XSS attack. So I hope you guys understood this attack in which we were able to successfully save our payload at the server's end. Now, whenever I will log in into this account, this execution will always happen. Why? Because the payload is permanently stored at the server side. So stored XSS is more dangerous because in this case the payload gets stored at the server side. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to see XSS type DOM. DOM stands for Document Object Model, which is basically a client-side vulnerability, and the DOM remains into your browser only. So why this vulnerability arises? This arises when the DOM is used to generate dynamic content containing the user's input that can be processed without properly checking or validating it. This is a client-side attack, as I already said, where the input comes into the DOM, which is also known as source, and it comes out or gets executed through the DOM, which is known as sink. So here you would understand that when your input, which is an XSS payload, a dangerous query, goes into the DOM is known as source, and when comes out is known as sink. As you can see, a vulnerable HTML code which is written over here. It starts by HTML and HTML close, body, script tag, and in the script tag you can see a variable source is defined which says hello plus decode URI component, in which it is written location.hash.split and given a URI fragment that is hash. So this is basically the source. And if you look below, var div element document.create element div element dot inner HTML is equals to source. This is basically the sink where anything that has been given into it will come out. If you look at the bottom, exploitable code in which if any attacker sends a GET request to the vulnerable website which has the above code running, and you can see clearly that sending a GET request to www.vulnerable-website.example and a URI fragment that is hash which is into our source. So if we give an XSS payload that is image source equals to test on error alert XSS into the source wherein the URI fragment parameter is their hash, it will automatically come out of the sink, that is the output, and we will get an alert. I hope you guys understood a very basic example of DOM based XSS. So what are some dangerous source list and sink list? If you ever come across any website and you try to analyze the DOM, if you are able to see into the source, if any application uses document.url, document.refer, location, location.href, location.search, location.hash, or location.pathname, then in these types of cases, sometimes it may become vulnerable and the payload must go into the source and sometimes come out of the sink, which can be dangerous. If you look at some dangerous sinks, it can be seen as eval, set timeout, set interval, document.write, or element.innerhtml is a dangerous type of sink. So these are the sink and source which you should look into any application's source code. If you are able to see that, then you may try to check the vulnerability of DOM XSS. So it's the practical time now, and let's see a practical based on DOM XSS to an application. Okay, and now here I'm going to exploit the DOM XSS. So before exploiting the DOM XSS, let's see what is into the source and what is into the sink. So I will just right click and click on view page source. If you look closely, there is a document sink which says variable username search parameters dot get name, and it comes out from inner HTML hello plus username. Okay, so hello plus whatever the username is given. So herein we understand that the dangerous source which comes out of the sink is name. So I will just go onto this website again and I will try to exploit this DOM, in which I will just try to show you when I type name equals to, that is the parameter equals to a value, it gets reflected into the sink. Awesome. So what if I try to give a XSS payload into here? What will happen? So let me just try to quickly exploit this by giving an XSS payload, and let's see if it comes out or executes. So I'm giving a payload image source equals to X on error equals to alert 1, and let me just hit enter by giving this dangerous payload as input. And when I hit enter, perfect. Can you see? I was able to exploit this DOM XSS. Why? Because I saw the vulnerable source and sink wherein name parameter was coming out directly without any sanitization. I hope you understood the first video of DOM XSS. We'll see a couple of more examples into the next video. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how can we exploit DOM XSS. As we already saw in the first video where we were able to exploit the name field and that was coming out of the sink without getting sanitized. So let's see into this video. So coming on to this website, I directly go into the source code. If you were able to see, there is location sink, in which I'm able to see that redirect is into the sink, that is document.location. If you try to recall into the presentation that we saw different types of sources and sinks. Document.location is one of them. Okay, so I came to know that redirect is coming out in the sink of document.location. So what if I try to give here redirect equals to and try to give a website name. Let's see if this website gets redirected to the another website, that is google.com. So by giving redirect equals to google.com, I will try to hit enter and observe what happens. As you can see, I got redirected to another website. Yes, which means that this is properly working, and whatever I try to give into this parameter executes out of the sink without any issue. What if I try to give an XSS payload, or I try to do an alert? So if you look closely, I'm giving an alert into this redirect parameter, and yes, perfect. I'm able to get a XSS alert over here. If I try to go into the source and just try to show you, yes, as you can see here, this is a dangerous sink, because of which this type of behavior has been happening, and I'm able to achieve a XSS. I hope you guys understood. We will see one more video in which we are going to exploit DOM based XSS again. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see one more exploitation of DOM based XSS. So I will directly go into the page source to see what is the source code of this website. As you can see, the execution sink is var index equals to search params.get index.toString, which means this is a execution sink. So if you try to recall into the presentation, I told about some dangerous sinks, and eval is one of them. If you looked below this line here, it is written eval, which is it is going to evaluate whatever is given into the index. So below, if you see, also they are using inner.html. If you try to see inner.html, and whatever is given comes out of this, that is current market index plus market.index. So I came to know that they are using index without proper sanitization. So what if I try to give here index equals to 123, or let's say Rohit, and if index gets reflected over the application, I will come to know, okay, this is getting reflected. Whatever I try to give into the source comes out of the sink. Okay, so let me just try to do a alert, and perfect. So I gave an alert, and you can see after giving an alert, I got an XSS, which means I was able to exploit the DOM based XSS. As also you can see onto the application, it is saying current market index is undefined. If you go back to the source, you can see current market index is market.index, and what we gave into that index value is a alert. That's why it is showing undefined. I hope you guys understood this DOM based XSS example of index, in which it was a vulnerable source and sink. Whenever I gave an input into the index, that is the vulnerable source, without proper sanitization, it came out and it just got exploited, and we are able to achieve a XSS. I hope you guys understood this video. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how we can achieve XSS by giving or adding a new parameter into the headers of any application. So In this video, I'm going to exploit this website, that is optimizely.com, by giving an extra header into the web application, and it will get reflected, and I will try to exploit it. Yes. So if I come onto this website, I will just try to go and try to take the request into Bob suite. As you can see, I have already taken the request into the Bob suite, and this is the request that is going to optimizely.com, as you can see over here. And the request is a get request to UTM campaign equals to, as you can see here. So how did I got this? I got this by intercepting optimizely.com, and then I performed a spider, and then after performing a spider, I tried to see the parameters, and I was able to see this. The first step was spider. After spidering, you will get a lot of options, and then just send one of the request with the parameters into the Bob suite. So as you can see, I gave a parameter, that is UTM campaign, a value, and the value is Hacktify. So if you try to see this, Hacktify is getting reflected into the header, that is XWTF, right? And it is also getting reflected at 2 other places. So there are total 3 matches into this application. Fine. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give a question mark, and I'm going to give a new parameter, that is q equals to. So in this, I'm adding a new param, that is q equals to, and I'm giving the XSS payload script alert1 script close, and you can see it is getting reflected as it is. The new param is also getting added into the application. If you look closely, yes, perfect. As you can see over here, the new parameter has been added, so the application is accepting any new arbitrary parameter that is given and the value, which is the XSS payload, and it has got perfectly balanced between here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just right click, show response into the browser, go into the website and hit enter. And if you can see that I'm able to achieve the XSS into this website. So in this video, we learn how we can achieve XSS by adding your own parameters sometimes into the web application. You can achieve XSS. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So till now we saw how we were able to achieve XSS by giving in characters through the keyboard input. What if a keyboard input is blocked? You can still perform XSS using mouse input. So there are a variety of mouse payloads that you can use. For example, on mouse over, on mouse move, on mouse up, on mouse enter, on mouse leave, on mouse wheel, and on mouse out. Why these mouse payloads? Because they are effective in bypassing many keyboard input checks, and it is an easy win. So I hope you guys understood why we are going to use mouse-based XSS payloads. So let's quickly go to the practical time, and let's see a practical example wherein we will be able to use mouse-based payloads to perform XSS. I've come on this application wherein there is a search field. So I'm just quickly going to type Hacktify, and I will hit go to see if my input is getting reflected or not. Here I come to know that my input is getting perfectly reflected. So now I'm going to put a payload into the reflection where it was happening into the input. So here I'm using a payload that is a href, that is hyper reference javascript alert1. It should give alert1 when it should give the event is on mouse over. What should happen? The alert1 should happen. So on mouse over alert 1, and I'm saying that it should be shown as hover me please. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this payload. I'm going to paste it here, and when I will hit go, you will be able to see that searched for Hacktify. In that place, there will be hover me please. Yes, perfect. So as you can see, it is hover me please. And when I will try to take my mouse pointer on hover me please, you will be able to see that an XSS will happen. So let me just go there. Perfect. As you can see, let me just again do that. Yes. Once more. Yes. So whenever I'm taking my mouse pointer to hover me please, I'm getting an XSS. I hope you guys understood how we can perform XSS using mouse. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see XSS with the help of mouse on a live application. So as we can see, I'm onto our website ubraintv.com. So what I'm going to do is, at first I'm going to show you that a reflection is happening here. So I'm just going to type Hacktify and do a search. As you can see that Hacktify is getting reflected over here. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the mouse payload and I'm going to put it in the place of Hacktify that I searched for. The same payload, I'm going to go here, I'm going to put it here, and I will do a search. As you can see, it is getting reflected in hover me please. So now I will try to take my mouse pointer to hover me please, and we will observe that an XSS will happen. Perfect. As you can see, an XSS occurs when I try to take my mouse payload into hover me please. Mouse pointer on hover me please because of the mouse payload for our XSS. I hope you guys understood how we can achieve XSS using mouse payloads also. In the next video, I'm going to show you a lot of mouse based payloads through which you can achieve XSS. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how we can do different types of XSS using mouse based payloads. So in this video, we will see a lot of mouse based events through which we can achieve XSS. So let's start by giving something into the search box. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I'm going to try the first payload, that is mouse over. So I'm just giving the mouse over payload, and if you see, if I take my mouse over to the image where the reflection is, I will get a XSS alert. Why I'm getting this XSS alert? Because this payload is off on mouse over. So if you look closely, then image source equals to X. This is not a valid source, obviously. Then if my mouse goes onto that specific image source, then there should be a alert. So I'm getting an alert. Okay, I have encoded alert 1 to string dot from character code 88 83 83. Okay, so this is basically the encoded version. Do not worry about that. So this is the first type in which I have shown you how we can get a XSS by on mouse over. Okay, fine. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to choose another payload, that is on mouse move. So basically, when I will move my mouse over my reflection, I will get an XSS. So let me just take my mouse over there. Let me try to show you again. So whenever I'm taking my mouse over to the reflection, I'm getting a XSS. Let me try one more payload, and this is on mouse wheel. This means whenever I'm trying to move my mouse wheel over the reflection of the payload, I will get an XSS. So let's see this. I've copied that payload, I will paste it here and I will hit go. Now if I take my mouse pointer onto the reflection, I will not get an XSS because this is not an on mouse over or on mouse move payload. This is on mouse wheel. You can say on mouse scroll also. So I will just take my pointer over there. So you can see it is not happening XSS. But when I scrolled my mouse, I'll again take there and I will scroll. I'll give a scroll to my mouse. Perfect. So it is working perfectly fine. Whenever I try to scroll my mouse, I'm getting an XSS. Similarly, there are other payloads like on mouse up, on mouse out, on mouse down, and a variety of XSS payloads based on mouse events. So I'm going to share this payload list into the description where you guys can take it. So I hope you guys understood how we can achieve XSS through mouse payloads and mouse events whenever the keyboard input is blocked. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see what are XSS polyglots. So what does a polyglot mean? So according to the dictionary definition, polyglot is something which is multilingual, or a person who knows many languages is known as polyglot. So how we are going to use polyglots in XSS? So basically we are going to combine XSS payloads, different types of payloads, to make one new payload which will be called as a polyglot. So why do we use polyglots? Because it is effective in bypassing many input checks and we get easy win. Okay, so it's practical time now, and let's see how can we use a polyglot, which is nothing just but a mixture of many different XSS payloads which will help us achieve success in executing and exploiting XSS. So let's see the practical now. I'm onto a website which is optimizely.com. So I'm going to find a XSS onto this website using an XSS polyglot. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to capture the request of Optimizely into Bob Suite first. So I have captured the request, right? I'm just going to send this to Spider because I want to Spider many more parameters, as I'm not able to get any parameter right now from the web application as there is no input. So I'm just going to send this request to Spider, so the Spider will crawl for many URLs and try to find a parameter for me. I will turn this off. I'll go in Spider and you can see Spider is running. I will go to the target, I will click on filter and I will click show only in scope items because I only want to see all the requests for Optimizely only, because Optimizely is in my scope. Now if you see here, Optimizely is being added into my scope. I'm going to right click and do a Spider again because I want to get many more URLs which contains some parameter. So as you can see, here are listed all the URLs which contains parameters. As I will double click on params, so all the parameters will automatically come up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a parameter using the search feature of burp. So I clicked on burp and search. Now I'm going to search for a parameter that is UTM_source. It is not necessary that you search for this parameter only. You can try to get any parameter you want. I have just taken, for instance, a parameter that is UTM_source. I will click on in scope only because Optimizely is in my scope and I want to see only from Optimizely. I will uncheck response headers and response body because I do not want this parameter to be searched in response. I want this parameter in request only. I will hit go. As you can see, it is searching for this parameters and you can closely see that I've already got this parameter in UTM campaign primary nav academy dark, UTM campaign, academy light. So the parameter is already there. And you can see here also the parameter is there. And the parameter is again there, here and here. So I'm going to choose any of the specific request and I'm going to send this request into the repeater tab. After sending this request to the repeater, you can see UTM campaign parameter is here and the value is already there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this to intruder now, because we are going to attack this parameter for XSS polyglot. After sending this to intruder, I will quickly go into the intruder tab. I will go into the positions tab and I'm going to set a position for this attack to happen. So my injection point or position, you can say, is UTM underscore campaign equals to. So I'm going to choose primary nav academy light because this is the value of the parameter, and I'm going to click on add. So here is my injection point. So I'll just move on to the payload tab and I'm going to load the payloads which contains the XSS polyglots, and I'm going to start attack. I'm going to give the payload polyglot list into the description with this video. As soon as I start the attack, you can see the attack is running and all the polyglots are being hitting there. Let's wait for the response length, which becomes the maximum. Any request with the maximum length means our payload has successfully executed. So let me double click on length. As you can see, this specific request has the maximum length. So I'm going to see the payload here. Yeah, I can see the payload. Let me just right click and do show response in browser. And let me show the response in browser and check that XSS has happened or not. So let me just hit enter and wait. And perfect. As you can see, I am able to achieve a XSS through this polyglot. Perfect. Let me send this to decoder and do a smart decode. And now you can see the payload. This is the payload that was hit into the injection point. And because of this, I'm able to achieve my XSS. So I hope you guys understood that how you can do a XSS by using a polyglot and the burp suit intruder function. In the next video, I'm going to show you how we can break down the polyglot, and we are going to understand that what actually happened in the background because of which the XSS came. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in the previous video, we saw how we were able to achieve a XSS onto our website, which was optimizely.com, using a XSS polyglot. So in the previous video, we achieved the XSS by giving a polyglot XSS payload through burp intruder functionality, and we achieved successful XSS. So in this video, we are going to do a breakdown of that specific polyglot payload that we used. So let's see how we were able to achieve the XSS using that payload. So as you can see, these are the marquee tags, which are basically nothing but just the marquee function, which we did not use into our attack. Second is a simple image payload. We know this is image source equals to X. No source like that, so it is going to give an error. On error, it should say confirm 1. Next is nothing, just plain text tags, plain text start and plain text close. Next is on mouse over prompt 1. This is an mouse over payload that we use. We already saw what are mouse over payloads into the mouse over video section. Next is script prompt 1. This is basic, a simple script payload again. Next added is gmail.com, which is extra added, which is of no use into our polyglot. Next is index form action equals to javascript alert XSS type submit, which is XSS on submit. Next is script alert 1, which is same as the simple script payload. And the last one is simple image payload, but again of no use into this attack. So I hope you guys understood how this polyglot was made by the mixture of different XSS attack vectors combined into a one XSS payload, which we used onto a web application, and we were able to achieve a successful XSS. So thank you. Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see XSS exploitation. So we will do XSS exploitation to URL redirection. Here, we are going to make the victim redirect to an evil website. Basically, we will find an injection point. We can find it either manually or either using Burp Suite spider feature. You guys already know how to use Burp Suite spider feature and take parameters from that. After finding a parameter, you have to inject the XSS payload in the parameter. And further, you have to check that if you are able to exploit the XSS. So in this video, we are going to do a URL redirection into one of the parameter, and we will see that can we achieve URL redirect and make the victim redirect to our evil website. If the victim redirects to the evil website, then this is a successful exploitation of XSS using URL redirection. So let's see the video in action in which we are going to successfully exploit it. So here we are going to see that I'm onto a web application. I'm just going to search Hacktify and I'm going to hit go. As you can see, Hacktify is getting reflected through this input box. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a payload into the search box. And that payload is written over here. So the payload is something like this: script tag document.location.href-reference and a website name that is http://hacktify.in and script tag close. So I'm going to copy this payload. I'm going to go into the search tab and I'm going to search for this. And if this website redirect me to the evil.com, for instance, in this case, hacktify.in, then we have successfully exploited XSS to URL redirection. And let's see this. And this website successfully transfers to hacktify.in website. Perfect. So now let's do this on a live website. I'm going to search for Hacktify and search. Do I get the reflection? Perfect, I get the reflection. So now here I'm going to put the same payload and hit search. If this live website redirects me, then it is vulnerable, and it does. So perfect. I'll just do back and show you that I was onto this website, Ubrain TV, and it has redirected me to hacktify.in, that is the attacker's website. So I hope you understood how we can do successful exploitation of XSS to URL redirection. I'm going to share this payload with every one of you. Okay. So in this video, we are going to see one more thing, that URL redirection with a click. Okay, so now the website was automatically getting redirected to the evil.com, but now we will see that we can make the redirect based on a click also. For that, we are going to give a href. So as you can see, I have given a href, that is hacktify.in, and I'm writing there login here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this payload, go again to the search functionality, hit go, and you can see login here is reflected. But this time, when the victim will click on login here, he will be redirected automatically to the evil website, that is hacktify.in website. Let's do this onto the live website also. As you can see here, I'm going to search this payload, and you can see there is a button which is login here. It is reflected. Now when the victim tries to click there by thinking that this is the login button, and he clicks on login here, he will be redirected to the evil website. Okay, So I hope you guys understood both the test cases of URL redirection through XSS. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video of XSS exploitation, we are going to see how can we perform phishing using XSS. So here we are going to make the victim log in into a phishing website or an evil website. We will confuse the victim that he may be get tricked into login into the attacker's website. So here again we will try to find an injection point using burp suit spider feature or manually. And then we are going to inject the XSS payload in the parameter and we'll finally achieve phishing through XSS. And the last thing, iframes are love. They are very important in achieving phishing using XSS exploitation. So let's see the practical in how we can achieve this phishing using XSS. I'm onto this website. So here into the search box, I'm going to again search for Hacktify and see the reflection. Yes, I'm getting the reflection. Now here I'm going to put an payload. As you can see, the payload is iframe source equals to hacktify.in website, height equals to 100%, width equals to 100%, and iframe close. So I'm just going to copy this payload. This is basically an iframe payload. I'm going to copy this, go here, paste it, and hit go. Awesome. So as you can see, this website is loading an iframe. This website is loading an iframe for me. Let me just go to another one. Let me just go here, try to put it here, and let's see. Yes. So in another parameter also, this website is loading an iframe, which means this website is vulnerable to phishing. How? If I adjust the width and height properly according to the page, then this hacktify.in can overlay the whole website and through which I can achieve phishing. I can make a similar look-alike website like the victim's website, and this way I can trick the user in logging in into my attacker's application. So let's see the example onto a live application also. So in this website, I'm going to take the same payload, hit it here and hit search. As you can see, the website will be loaded into a iframe. Similarly, if I set the width and height, then I can make this overlay on the whole website and make the user trick into logging into the attacker's website. Now for one more demonstration, what I'm going to do is this is my website. That is srsecure.xyz, and I have made a PNG image, which is your website is hacked by Hacktify. Harvard website is down. Kindly go to https://evil.com. So I'm just going to take this image and I'm going to put this into an image source, and I'm going to call this specific image source and this image onto Harvard website. So in this Harvard website, I was able to load my image. Yes, so can you see this? This is also a type of phishing attack in which I can send this link to any user and the user will think, oh no, the Harvard University website is down or it is hacked by Hacktify. I need to go to the new website link, that is evil.com. So this is also a part of phishing that we can achieve through XSS exploitation. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see XSS exploitation of cookie stealer. So as you can see, I'm onto an application wherein on the left side, I can see there is a search field. So in the search field, I'm going to type something. Let's say I type Hacktify and hit go. So as you can see, Hacktify is getting reflected, which means there is a possibility wherein I can try to put an payload and it may get reflected or executed. So what I'm going to do right now is I will just show you by putting this payload that we already know. which is document.cookie. So by hitting this payload, we are going to see the cookie of this application. So let's see if we are able to get the cookie. Perfect. So as you can see, we got an alert, but the alert was empty. Why? Because the application did not give us any cookie. So the first prerequisite of doing cookie stealing exploitation on XSS is the user must be logged in into the application. Obviously, if the user is not logged in into the application will not assign a cookie to that specific user. Fine. So let's just quickly log into the application. Before logging in, let's understand this payload. So this is script document.location.href, which means this is the location of the new hyperlink, and wherein this is the link. This is the IP address of the attacker, which contains a port number that is 1234, and then it is an endpoint which is cookie. And to this endpoint, what will come? It is going to come document.cookie. So whatever the output of document.cookie, it will be sent it to this particular IP address on this port and on this endpoint, that is cookie. Remember, you can take this endpoint whatever you want. I have just taken the name as cookie. You can choose anything that you want. And finally, I will close the script tag. Perfect. So we have made our payload, but to do this attack, we need to start our listener, that is our server, wherein we will get the cookie of the user, right? So for that, just open up your terminal, and you should have Python installed as a prerequisite. Installation of Python is very simple for Windows-based computers as well as Linux-based computers. For Windows computers, you can download it from python.org, Python 2.7, and you can just install it. It's very simple process. After installation, you can start a listener or a server, which just I'm going to show right now. For those users who are using Kali Linux or Parrot OS, basically a Debian-based OS, do not worry, Python is pre-installed into these types of distros. Perfect. So herein, I'm going to type Python, then -m. -m stands for module. I'm going to start a module that is simple HTTP server. Remember, you have to type this the same way as I have typed. S capital, HTTP capital, and server S capital. Okay, perfect. So let's move further. Now I'm going to type the port number wherein you want to start the server. So I have given the port number, that is 1234. Perfect. So let's see what is the IP address of the attacker. So I'm going to type ifconfig, and ifconfig will list down the IP addresses for my machine. For Windows based computers, the command is ipconfig. Perfect. As you can see, this is the IP address of my machine, which is basically the attacker's machine. I will just take this IP and this port number, go into my script and write it over there. As you can see, I have given it over there. Next thing is this endpoint. You can take this endpoint anything you want. I'm just going to take it as cookie. You can write anything. Perfect. I already explained what is this document.cookie. It is basically what will give the cookie of that vulnerable website. Perfect. So now we are ready with our payload, through which we are going to perform cookie stealing. Before doing the cookie stealing, let's understand that our listener or the attacker's Python server is working or not. Let's check that. So for that, I'm going to in my browser, and I'm going to give this endpoint, and I'm just going to type, let's say, cookie equals to checking if this works, and I'm going to hit enter. Obviously, I'm going to get an error because there is no endpoint like cookie equals to checking if this works, but the attacker will get this. So let's see, the attacker has got this. Perfect. attacker has got to know that someone interacted with this IP, with this port number, and that endpoint that is cookie equals to. As you can see, our interaction happened. Perfect. So this means our server is working perfectly fine. So let's take this, let's copy this, let's go over here and let's hit it and hit go. So now this vulnerable application will send the cookie to the attacker server. Let's go and check to the attacker server. Have we got something? Perfect. We have got a request, which means someone has interacted with us and tried to send us the cookie. But as you know guys, I told the prerequisite, the user must be logged in into the application. So right now the user is not logged in. That's why we are getting a blank cookie. Perfect. So now the user needs to log in into the application to get a valid cookie. As you can see, a blank cookie over here. Let's go in my profile section and let's try to log in with my credentials, that is test and test. Let's hit on login. After login, as you can see, I have logged in into the application. Let me try to give this payload in all the fields over here. And let me just hit on update. So I know that after hitting update, what is going to happen? I am going to get some interaction onto the attacker server, the Python server that we have started. And what will be that interaction? The cookie value through which we are going to do a successful XSS cookie stealer exploitation. So I have hit the update button. Let's go to our terminal and let's see if we have got the cookie. Perfect. Our payload has successfully executed. That was document.location.href, the attacker server, the endpoint that is cookie, and the document.cookie payload, which gave the cookie that was test and test. Perfect. We have got the cookie over here, as you can see. Now we will verify if this is the right cookie or not, or are we able to use this cookie to do an account takeover, cookie stealing. So let me just log out of this application right now. So the user has logged out and we have got the cookie for the user. Let me just go to your profile section and I'm going to use a cookie manager. You can install this cookie manager. It is free for Chrome as well as Firefox. This extension is free of cost. After clicking on this extension, just paste the name of the cookie. So the cookie name is login and the value is test %2f test. And I'm going to save this cookie and again clicking over here and again click on save. So perfect, the cookie has been saved. Let's see if this cookie value was correct and it allows the attacker to take over the victim's account. So we have saved the cookie successfully. And let's try to just reload the application. So after reloading the application, if we get logged in into the account, then we have successfully done the XSS exploitation using cookie stealing. So let me just try to reload and perfect. As you can see, the user account is been here. The attacker has logged in into the user's account. Let me just go to home. And let me just again go to my profile section to show you guys. And yes, the attacker has successfully logged in into the victim's account by stealing the cookie. Perfect. So this was a demonstration of cookie stealing into a lab, basically into your own same network. In the next video, we are going to see how we can do cookie stealing onto a wide area network or onto a public network. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So this is the video of XSS exploitation of cookie stealing. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I came across a very interesting scenario while doing a XSS cookie stealing. So let's just see. So this is the website bookmyphone.in. Okay. Remember guys, this is cookie stealing on a live website that is onto the WAN network, public network. Okay, so in the previous video we did cookie stealing on a local network by making an Python server. In this video we are going to make a server through Burp Suite, that is Burp Collaborator. So let's see this. How can we do this onto public websites whenever you are doing your bug hunting? So firstly, I'm logged in into the application. As you can see, that is the prerequisite. I'm just going to type Hacktify and search to show you the reflection. Yes, as you can see, the reflection is over here. And now I'm going to give the payload, that is script alert. As you can see, this is vulnerable. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this payload. As you can see, image source equals to X, on error equals to this dot source, and you have to give server name here. So in this case, I'm going to give the server name, that is this server name, which is basically some strings, long strings dot burpcollaborator.net. What is this and how I have got this? I have got this through the burp. So I'm just going to show how I got this. You have to put the name of this collaborator over here, then question mark, any parameter you want. I'm taking a parameter C for cookies, where I'm going to get the cookie value, document.cookies value. Perfect. So how to make a collaborator? You just have to go to burp and click on burp collaborator client. After clicking on this, copy to clipboard. As soon as you copy on clipboard, the burp collaborator server's address will be copied. In poll collaborator interaction, you have to give poll every 1 second, which means every 1 second it is going to refresh and check if there is any request coming onto our listener. So basically we saw a local listener using Python, and this is a public listener. Perfect. So I will just go back and here, and I will paste the collaborator server which we copied. Perfect. And I'm going to type here http:// okay. So I'm going to take this payload, I'm going to go here and enter it and hit search. After hitting search, let's go and check onto our listener that we have got any hit rate or not. Have we got any cookie? Let's wait. Let's click on poll now. Perfect. We have got the cookies, as you can see. So let me just click on a HTTP or DNS. We have got two types of hit. First is DNS. DNS is not important for us. HTTP is important. As you can see, in HTTP, I am able to get the cookie in the C parameter. C equals to this is the long cookie name. Perfect. So I have got the cookie. If I see the DNS one only says that I have got a hit from the IP address, which is this. This is basically the IP address of Book My Phone, and I have got a request from them onto my server. That is my listener. Perfect. So for doing cookie stealing, HTTP hit or HTTP interaction is important, and I have got HTTP interaction with the cookie. So I have successfully done the cookie stealing. Now I'm going to log out the application. As soon as I log out of the application, now I am trying to use those cookies and I will try to log in into this account. Okay, so herein I'm giving wrong credentials and I'm trying to log in. Basically bunch of wrong strings, and I will try to log in. As you can see, this is a wrong email address as well as wrong password, but this time I'm going to use these cookies. Now While doing this practical, guys, I noticed a very strange thing. The application invalidated all the cookies once the user has logged out, but the server, the application, gave these cookies to someone else. So one strange behavior that I observed in this practical was these cookies were assigned to someone else. And when I'm going to use these cookies to log in, I will be logged in into someone else's account. So let's see this.
Okay.
So I'm going to copy and replace the cookies over here with the wrong credentials, and I'm going to do intercept response because I want to see the response. Okay, the response is result false, invalid combination. I know this is wrong, and they have assigned a PHP session ID. Okay, fine. I will just replace that with the cookie that I have got and try to see what happens. Fine, I'm not logged in. Let me try once more. Let me try to reload the application, go in burp, replace this cookie by the cookie that I have got, and let me just put it here, remove the space, forward this, again forward this, forward this, forward this, forward, 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 forward this also, forward all the requests which are not important for me, go back to the browser, see at the application. Okay, so here I noticed I was not able to log in, and I'm going to do a third attempt again. So herein I will again reload this application, and you can see this time the endpoint is cart. Okay, as you can see the endpoint is cart. Fine. So this time the endpoint that I've got in burp suite is also cart, and I'm going to replace this cookies. I've replaced the cookies. I'll forward this. I'll do intercept off, and the application has assigned a session ID, and I'll do off, and you can notice here, perfect. As you can see, guys, I have logged in into someone else's cart, and this is someone's niche name user. This is the mobile number, this is the email ID, this is the address from Lucknow, and a phone someone has added, which is Xperia Note 9 worth rupees this much. So yes, we were able to do a successful exploitation of cookie stealing, through which we were able to access someone else's cart. So I hope you guys understood this video. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video of XSS exploitation through file upload, we are going to see one more way through which we can do XSS through file uploads. So what basically I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file onto this application, wherein the application allows file uploading functionality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file which I just made. So the file name is, I think I made the file name with cool svg. So let me just try to search it. Yes, it is over here. So basically I'm going to upload an svg vector file, and I'll just intercept this request to show you guys how the file is getting uploaded, and I will just click on dump. After clicking over there, I'll go here. Now if you look closely, the file name is coolsvg.svg. So basically this is a svg file vector, and if you look here, then the payload that I have written is basically this, the svg boilerplate format, and basically after that onload alert document.domain. So I have written something, and then I have written onload. If this gets loaded properly, alert the document.domain. Document.domain means the domain name. So in this case, the domain name is srsecure.xyz. So fine, we're going to upload this file with the payload inside it. Let me just do intercept response to this request because I want to see the response also. I'll just forward this and do intercept off. It is getting uploaded. This is the payload that we entered, as we already saw. Onload alert document.domain. It is getting uploaded. Let me go in burp and check. Yep, it was on. Let me just turn it off. And you can see the file coolsvg.svg is uploaded. Perfect. So let's try to see if we can get an XSS through this file or not. Let me just quickly navigate to the uploads folder. After navigating, let me just give the file name that we just uploaded, that is coolsvg.svg, and wait for the application. And perfect. As you can see, our XSS has been successfully executed. And here you can see srsecure.xyz, which is basically because of document.domain payload, wherein we are able to see the name of the domain. So I hope you guys understood the exploitation of XSS using file upload. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how we can do XSS using file upload with changing the metadata of any file. So in the first two videos, we saw that how we uploaded a HTML file and a payload inside it achieved us in getting a successful XSS. In the second video, we saw how we compromised and misused an SVG vector and we ended up getting an XSS. In this third video, we are going to see how we can abuse a file upload functionality and get an XSS by changing the EXIF data or the metadata of any file. So let's see this, how to do this. So for this, I'll just head on to the Google because we want a file in which we are going to make some changes. So I will just type exif samples GitHub, and you will be able to see the first link is a GitHub link wherein I'm able to get some images. Okay, so I'll just click on JPG and I will click on the first image, let's say that is Canon 40D.jpg. It is an image. So I have downloaded this image. I'll open this. As you can see, this is the image that I have downloaded. I'm opening up a terminal over here. After opening a terminal, I'm just going to type exif tool just to verify that I have exif tool installed into my virtual machine. So basically this is a Parrot Linux OS, which is a Debian based Linux penetration testing OS. You can also run this on Kali Linux. Exif tool is installed, pre-installed in both the operating system. If you do not have exif tool or you are running onto another operating system like Ubuntu or Red Hat, you can install exif tool by typing apt-get install exif tool. I'm just making sure I have this tool installed, so I'm going to type enter, and you can see I have this tool installed already into my machine. So I'm going to give exif tool and the file name that I have downloaded, and I will hit enter. Perfect. So as you can see, this is the metadata of the image, which contains a lot of values, different types of values. Perfect. So I'm able to see everything. Now what I'm going to do, something interesting, is I am going to add a new attribute basically, or a new metadata into this specific file. So for that, I'm going to type a command. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type exif tool space hyphen artist. Or basically I'm going to add a new metadata that is, or a new attribute that is artist, and I'm going to type equals to. So what should be the value for artist? The value should be an XSS payload. So I have given here image source equals to X, on error equals to alert, document dot domain. Perfect. Now remember guys, you have to give whatever value you want into the single quotes. So this is the starting single quote, this is the ending single quote, and in between here is my payload. Okay, and then the file name. So the file name is this, and I will just press enter. After hitting enter, you can see a new file has been created, and this is the original file, and this is the new file, modified file with this XSS payload. So let's verify if, okay, so I'm making again a new file and I'm putting this payload into this original file. Perfect. So one image files is updated. Okay, so now let's verify this. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to type exif tool, the file name, and let's verify that we have got our payload stored in here or not. And you can see over here there is a new attribute or metadata which has been added, and which is artist, which was not before, but we have added it, and the value we have given is a payload over here. Perfect. So this is how we have created an file which contains a payload into its metadata. And if any web server which parses a file metadata will be vulnerable to this type of XSS attack. So for testing, you just need to upload this file, and if you get a XSS, then you have successfully done exploitation using exif metadata of a file. Let me just upload it here and try to test this, and let me try to hit dump, and you can see the file is uploaded. Let me go in uploads and try to put the file name and just check, am I getting XSS? And no, in this case nope, because this server is not parsing the metadata of that file which contains a payload. Okay, fine. I hope you guys understood how we can achieve XSS through file upload using exif metadata modification. This can be useful in live hunting on many web applications. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video of XSS exploitation, we are going to see how we can do XSS exploitation using file uploads. So we are going to upload a file and abuse the file upload functionality to achieve XSS. We will also find an injection point using burp suite, spider feature, or manually. Then we are going to inject the XSS payload into the upload feature. So basically we can also achieve XSS by any upload functionality into any application that you see. We generally see these types of functionalities are into edit profile or whenever you try to make an account. So let's see this. How can you do a successful exploitation on that? I'm going to make a file, and in that file I'm just going to give a simple basic XSS payload, that is script alert1 script tag close. So this is what is going to be inside that file. Let me just save this file as a name, that is, let's say I give upload me please.html. So I'm going to save this file as upload me please.html, and the content inside that file is a XSS payload. Now I'll go to this website where there is a upload form, and I'm going to upload the file that I just made. The file name is upload me please. Onto this website, before uploading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture this request into burp suite, and I will click on dump, which is basically upload. After pressing the dump button, as you can see, I have captured the request. The file name, as you can see over here, is upload me please.html, and the content, basically whatever the data is inside that file is reflected over here. So I will just press forward and also send this to repeater. So in case I want to use this request again, and also I will do intercept response to this request, because I want to see what is the response the application shows me when I try to upload this file. I will just hit forward and wait for the application to upload this file. Let me do intercept off. Perfect. So as you can see, the file upload me please.html job done, which means the file has been uploaded successfully. I'll just copy this name because I want to see this file. I will just try to paste the file over here into the uploads directory, because this any file that gets uploaded goes into the upload directory. When I will try to locate this file will show a successful XSS. This is how we can achieve XSS through file uploading feature. I hope you guys understood. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see how to fix XSS, or what are the mitigations to XSS. First point, input sanitization. Input sanitization is very important. The interpreter should know that whatever data is coming inside, any untrusted data should not be passed as it is. It should not be directly interpreted. Second, escaping, encoding of all the input that a user ends with. So basically anything that has been given by a user should be escaped. Proper encoding should be done. For instance, HTML encoding should be possible. Strong input validation for limited inputs with sanitization, which means limited inputs should be there for specific fields only, wherein it will stop the chances of XSS. A strong WAF, of course, which should automatically detect and block XSS types of attacks. Filter input on arrival, as we already discussed, it is input sanitization. Encoded data on output, this is also basically HTML encoding, which we discussed already. Use appropriate response headers. So in this, your application to prevent XSS can use content type headers or X content type option headers basically in the responses to prevent the browsers to interpret the response in the way attacker wants. And the last is the CSP policy, which is the content security policy, which can prevent the severity of XSS if it occurs. So CSP will block if any website wants to send any cookie to any other website. So these are the mitigations of XSS which can be placed into any web application which can fix these types of issues. I hope you guys understood. Thank you. Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys a bonus lecture in which you will see XSS bonus tricks. I'm going to show you some of the dirty tricks to find XSS everywhere. So let's see how can we do this. So for this, I'm going to go onto this GitHub repository named Param Spider. So this is a tool which is made by an author which finds the parameters from the dark corners of web archives. So basically this tool crawls the Wayback Machine and takes all the parameters and puts them into a list. So we are going to download this tool. It's simple. Just you can git clone from here. You can just click on clone, and after that you can just go onto your terminal and just type git clone and the name. Just paste the link and you can see cloning, and it will successfully clone it. After that, you just need to go inside the tool So for going, you have to type cd param spider. After going inside, do a ls to list whatever is inside. After that, you can see there is a requirements.txt. You have to install requirements.txt using pip install -r to read the file, which is requirements.txt, and hit enter. It will take some time to install into your computer systems. I've already installed all the requirements, so it is saying that everything is installed. Let me just clear the screen for you. Again, do ls, and you can see I'm going to run param-spider.py. So I'm going to run this tool on a subdomain of Google. For that, I'm just going to type python 3 param-spider.py -domain thais.google.com, exclude these extensions which are PHP, JPG, SVG, and make the level high. As per the description onto the website which is made for this tool, excludes the extensions. Level high gives nested parameters. So basically 2 parameters if there are into the Wayback Archive machine. Let's go back to the tool, and now I'm going to hit enter. As you can see, the tool has started and the tool has found total unique URLs. There is total 8, and it has saved the output into a folder output and the file name thais.google.com.txt. Okay, so as you can see, there are total 8 number of URLs. If you look closely onto this URL, which is https thais.google.com/referrals/?referrer_id equals to fuzz. So basically the parameter here is referrer ID and the value is fuzz. Let's go back to our browser and let me show you a report which was recently found out in March 27, 2020, which was a XSS on Google, which was paid around $3,000 of bounty. So as you can see, the researcher just did subdomain enumeration and he was able to find out a subdomain, that is thais.google.com. Okay, so after that he tried for some Google Docs and he was able to identify a subdomain with a URL, that is thais.google.com/referrer_id equals to. As you can see here, this researcher used Google Docs operators to find this. We used Wayback Time Machine, which is a crawler which must have crawled this website earlier. After going onto this website, as you can see here, what he did, he took this parameter and this value. So as he saw that this value is getting reflected here onto the browser, he just ended up putting a XSS payload into that value. After hitting enter, he can see that there was an alert document.domain which is reflecting the name of the domain. So he reported this vulnerability to Google, and Google rewarded the researcher with this much of bounty, that is $3133.7. Okay, so I hope you understood how we can utilize Wayback Archive Time Machine to find bugs everywhere. You can find XSS in param equals to values everywhere from the Wayback Archive. I hope this will help you guys. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to see the XSS breakdown of HackerOne reports. So we are going to see some of the very interesting test cases, and also we are going to understand the report which are submitted by other hackers on this awesome platform. So let's see the breakdown of all the HackerOne reports. As you can see, when I go into Google and I try to search XSS report HackerOne, I get a couple of reports, right? Let me go into the another page and I have a lot more reports. So let's do an analysis of all these reports and see what all reports were submitted and how much bounty were they provided. The most important thing to see here is that what are the XSS payloads that they have used and which we can also utilize into our bug hunting part. So let's see. This is a stored XSS report on Twitter which was submitted on April 1, 2019, and bounty that was awarded was $700. If I scroll down, you guys can see that it was this payload which was submitted, and we already learned this payload. It is balancing with double quotes, closing bracket, image source equals to X, on error equals to alert document.domain. The very simple and the basic first payload that we learned into our video series. Cool. Let's move on to another report. As you can see, stored XSS on activity reported to Shopify on 2018 August 15. Bounty was awarded $2,000. Let's see the payload. Again, the hacker tried to balance this by double quotes, closing bracket, and a very simple payload again, which is svg onload alert 2. Perfect report. Let's see one more. This is IE only XSS vulnerability through program asset finder, which was reported on HackerOne, and the bounty awarded was $2,500. Let's see what's so interesting about this. And if you look closely, the payload which is submitted is a very simple one. Again, balancing with double quotes, closing bracket, image source equals to X, on error equals to prompt, and instead of open and close round brackets, the attacker has used single quotes. Awesome. So, perfect report with a perfect simple payload. Let's see one more. Stored XSS vulnerability on WordPress, bounty awarded $500. Let's see what is the payload. Again, a very simple payload, balancing, and then svg onload alert document.domain, in which this payload will tell what domain are you on. Perfect payload for a perfect bounty. Let's see more. Stored XSS on IMGUR profile, bounty $650. Let's see the payload. The payload here is the interesting one, guys. As you can see, in my case, I bypass the filter using HTML entities for the alternation of opening bracket, closing bracket, because I noticed that it's filtering these types of brackets. So what this attacker did was, instead of using opening bracket and closing bracket, he used LTGT, which is the HTML encoded version of opening bracket and closing bracket. Perfect. The payload was very simple. Script alert 1. Script tag close. So if I try, yeah, so perfect. So let's go to the other report. This report, yeah. So in this report, it was submitted to Starbucks, reflected XSS on www.starbucks.com. Bounty awarded $375. Let's see the payload. As you can see, this is the payload, which is URL encoded. So let's copy this, quickly go on URL decoder. Let's try to put it here, and you can see the payload is JavaScript alert document.domain. Extra things which are added into the payload in between does not make a lot of sense. Okay, it is added like that only. Without that also this payload can occur, can trigger. Cool. Perfect. Let's see one more. In this you can see stored XSS, which was reported to Alliance of American Football, bounty awarded $1,500. Let's see the payload. If we go down, and you can see the payload is, again, we already have seen this type of payload, which is balance svg onload prompt 1. Perfect. Let's see one more. Reflected XSS on the academy.upserve.com, which is basically Upserve. This was reported and bounty $250. Let's see what is the payload. Payload is balance body onload alert 1. Perfect. One more. XSS reflected on WordPress, bounty $50. Let's see what is the payload. A very simple payload again, as you can see, which is balance script alert document.cookie script tag close. We have used this payload multiple times into our video series of XSS. Let's see another report. Reflected XSS in www.olx.co.id. Report submitted to OLX. Let's see what is the payload. Payload that is used is again a very simple version. As you can see here, it is balancing script alert 1 script tag close. This is of no use. It is written like that only extra. Okay, perfect. Let's see another report. In this report, stored XSS in link when sending message, reported to mail.ru, bounty awarded $250. Let's see what is the payload. And the payload is on mouse over JavaScript prompt 1. Awesome. So we have also covered on mouse over payloads. As you can see, this is a very simple and basic version of that payload that was submitted on mouse over. Let's see one more report. XSS, reflected XSS submitted on OLX. What is the payload? The payload, as you can see, is on mouse over alert. Again, the same payload. A very simple version of the payload that we have learnt. Perfect. Let's see one more report. And this is reflected XSS on uberinternal.com domains, bounty $2,000. In this, the payload has not been shown. It has been redacted, but no issues. We already know that it is a reflected XSS, so it would be an reflected XSS payload, which could have cost an XSS there. So perfect. We did a breakdown of many reports on HackerOne, and we have seen that we covered most of the types of payload that we can utilize into our web application testing or bug bounty hunting test cases. I hope you guys understood this HackerOne breakdown and it would be useful for every one of you. Thank you. Hello everyone. So this is the interview questions and approach video of XSS. So basically, if you try to go anywhere to apply into any kinds of cybersecurity consultant or analyst position, or you go across any interview for web application pen testing, they generally ask questions about OWASP and XSS. So understanding the interview questions for XSS is very important. So in this slide, we are going to cover some of the famous interview questions and how you should tackle them. So I have listed down basically very important 6 questions that are very important to answer, and you should know the approach that what the interviewer is asking from you. So the first question is, why XSS and how it happens? For this, the interviewer is trying to ask you that, do you know what is the root cause of XSS? In this question, you don't have to start blindly saying XSS is cross-site scripting and it happens because the application is not properly validating. In this question, you have to be specific that why XSS is so prevalent. In this, you have to be on the developer perspective and you have to give the answer that why many applications worldwide is vulnerable to XSS. Although giving the definition of XSS is important, but why it happens is also very important. Okay, so you can say, for example, XSS is a vulnerability which occurs because of no input sanitization or no proper encoding of data into any application. The root cause is JavaScript. All the applications in the world works on JavaScript. If any attacker is able to load his arbitrary JavaScript into the application and the application interprets it, then the application is vulnerable to cross-site scripting attack. This answers the second part, that is how it happens. Next question, what is the severity of XSS? in this question, the interviewer tries to know that what is the depth of penetration that you can perform using XSS, or how you can escalate the severity of XSS bug that you have found out. By this, the interviewer wants to know that what is the last step and approach that you will do if you found XSS, and how you can make it to a P0 level bug. So your approach should be, the severity of XSS can be very, very dangerous. By doing a proper cookie stealing, you can also do account takeovers. Also, with the help of XSS, you can do vertical and horizontal privilege escalation, and so on. There are many test cases that you can perform, which includes account takeover, privilege escalation, keyloggers, phishing, etc. Next, what are the types of XSS and which is the most dangerous one? By this question, the interviewer wants to know that you know thorough about XSS and what are the types. Have you done hands-on on all the types of XSS practically? And according to you, he wants to know that which is the dangerous one and which you tend to find more. So for this question, your answer should be, first, the types of XSS are 3. As you already know, the first one is reflected XSS, second one is stored XSS, and the third one is DOM based XSS. Which is the most dangerous type? It depends on the situation and scenario that you have found the XSS on. According to me, the most dangerous XSS is the stored XSS. Why? Because you just have to store the payload once into the server and anyone who visits it become vulnerable. I would like to give an example. For, let's say, Facebook was vulnerable to stored XSS, and I upload a picture, and into the comment box I write, please see this picture, here is an interesting comment. Anyone who comes to see that comment will automatically become vulnerable, and I will be able to get his cookie. That's why stored XSS is very dangerous. But again, this depends on the situation that you have been given and the application you want to test for. Next question. Explain XSS to 10-year-old kid, HR and a red team member. In this question, the interviewer wants to know that you have been from base to level 10 in XSS. Are your bases or your ground really very clear about XSS? So you can tackle this question by explaining XSS to a 10-year-old kid by saying you can log in into anyone's account without their username and password. In this scenario, you are basically trying to explain cookie stealer, how you can do an account takeover. If you want to explain XSS to an HR, you can explain through a business perspective by saying, if we do not fix the XSS vulnerability into our website, any attacker or hacker can hack everyone's account and they can do transactions, illegal transactions, or some malicious activities through which there can be a very big business loss, reputation loss into the market, and we can lose our shares, etc. Explaining this to a red team member wouldn't be much difficult for you, as the person already knows the technicality and the severity of the bug. So the next question, different ways to achieve XSS if script or alert tags are blocked. There are many examples to answer this question, and in this question the interviewer wants to know that have you performed different ways of XSS? Have you used different event handlers? Have you used different types of payloads? Are you aware about mouse payloads? Are you aware about polyglots? So for this you can say, if script tag or alert, if script tags are blocked, you can use image based payloads, audio based payload, video based payloads, SVG payload, etc., or mouse over payloads. For the other part, that is, if alert tags are blocked, you can be like, instead of alert tags, you can use confirm, you can use prompt, etc. So the last question is, what is the fix of this vulnerability? So we already discussed what are the mitigations of this XSS vulnerability in the previous video. You can refer to that video. So the basic answer for this to sum up will be encoding, proper input sanitization, validation, and a WAF. I hope you guys like this video. Thank you so much.